Ariel Helwani just hit a 10-8, maybe even a 10-7 on PFL owner Donn Davis, the GFL, and even the co-creator of the UFC. We've talked at length about the GFL cancelling their events and even the problems with the PFL, especially since the Bellator purchase. You can check my last video to get the full story about what exactly happened with the Global Fight League that sparked this all off. And when we go through these tweets, I want you to keep this in mind. Whatever you think of him, the fact Ariel Helwani is even winning these beefs is absurd. Because think about it from these guys' perspective. Donn Davis is the CEO of a whole fight league that is on ESPN, and this one guy is the co-creator of the UFC. To them, this nerdy, noodle-armed journalist is an ant, and they should obviously be in the position of power. Ariel talks MMA, these guys run MMA. So the fact that Ariel Helwani is able to big bro all of them, that's some special stuff. The same with the Brendan Schaub beef. Former UFC top 10 heavyweight, knocked out Mirko Cro Cop. Ariel Helwani is able to go, okay, sit down little bro. Imagine for a moment being these guys, CEO of the PFL, the co-creator of the UFC apparently, the former top 10 UFC heavyweight, someone saying to you, man, you shouldn't have picked a beef with Ariel Helwani, man, you should know better, he'll wreck you, man. Paddy Pimblett as well, that absolutely turned him from the most liked. A few people just hate whoever looks like they're going to be the next star. It's that meme of the coolest thing ever, and someone points, nah, that sucks actually. So he went from that to hated and barely just climbing back now. So he has a lot of power, and you don't have to like him, but you have to respect that part. Now let's look at the tweets, or the X's, maybe they call him now. So we start off, Donn Davis, CEO of the PFL, has been getting a lot of flack about the way he runs it. After the Bellator purchase, he wasn't booking guys' fights and cutting their pay. All the stuff I'm sure most of you are up to date, but that's the gist of it. So he took this opportunity of the GFL cancelling their events to basically go, see, it's hard, and I'm doing it better. Building a global MMA company, easy to talk, hard to do. At PFL MMA, delivered a premium product for 7 years. 110 events, $225 billion in fighter purses, paid, fist bump emoji, hashtag PFL MMA. So Donn is feeling himself right now. Donn's been waiting for this moment. Then Damon comes in, MMA journalist at MMA Fighting, says, wait a minute Donn, look at the last time these Bellator champions fought. Cody Anderson, March 2024, Patchy Mix, May 2024, and etc. Basically ruining Donn's comeback of the year. Donn says nobody has to be here. At PFL MMA provides the only premium global lasting platform for fighters other than the UFC. Countless others have come and gone because they are not serious people. Hashtag PFL MMA takes a leadership role to grow MMA for fans and fighters very seriously. You've got Donn all hyped up. As you can see, he's been waiting for this. He's looking for 10-9s, but I call this one a draw round. Then Ariel Helwani makes a post and says it's possible the GFL could still have an event, but honestly that would be shocking to me at this point. The GFL story is one that come and gone, which is true. The GFL lost its investors pretty much, and I agree it's over. He goes on, there's a greater story here, the state of MMA business. PFL isn't paying as much as it did, the Bellator number 2 brand doesn't exist, one isn't paying nearly as much. For MMA fighters, GFL was the hope. This type of promotion doesn't exist, and at the end of the day, that's not good for the fighters or the business. End quote. And we've talked about this. The GFL ending is a sad sign for MMA. We may not see something like Strikeforce or Bellator again. With that same talented roster of fighters, the production, the investment, UFC hegemony is supreme. But of course, he sends shots at the PFL while Donn is having a victory lap. Donn says this kind of misreporting hurts MMA fighters and the MMA industry. At Ariel Helwani is wrong about PFL MMA fighter compensation. Big red X emoji. PFL average fighter pay is up emoji. PFL fighter roster payroll is up emoji. Now is PFL fighter pay up because Francis Ngannou gets paid millions and millions, I wonder. But back to it. Is clickbait is a disservice to MMA fighters and fans ... as well as hashtag PFL MMA who serves both. End quote. It's getting heated. He's calling Ariel a shill and PFL is for the fighters. That's their branding, with Francis Ngannou on the board of the fighter's safety or something, and the $1 million tournament prize. Now do we go into the 10-8? Let's go. Ariel Helwani says, "You're in the midst of one of the worst PR runs in the history of combat sports. I can't open this app without seeing one of your top stars complain about the state of your company. I'm the least of your problems, but I take issue with you claiming my information is incorrect. Are you paying the same to tournament winners? No, not even close. Did you ask Bellator fighters to rework their contracts? Yes. Did you cancel events last year? Yes. Are you holding events at Universal Studios, circa WCW in 1994? Look it up. I know you're new to this, thus generating little to no gate revenue. Yes, in fact, it continues to baffle me at how few tickets you're able to sell in America after all these years. I've asked you to come on my show, 5-6 times now, to talk about some of these things and your upcoming fights, and you continue to refuse. Why is that, Donn? The only one who's been a disservice to the sport are the Johnny-come-lately promoters who think they can ride this MMA wave by convincing investors to gamify the fight game. Season, stand-in, playoffs, nonsense. You know everything I said was true. Continue writing posts on LinkedIn to your current or potential investors. Surely continue talking about Fight Matrix. I'll continue to tell the truth." End quote. And you may have not got the reference about having shows at Universal like WCW in 1994 reference. WCW was a pro wrestling company. They had shows at Universal Studios, which basically means that PFL did have a theme park and people can come in and watch at their leisure, which is breaking news. And it is interesting they can't sell tickets in the US still, even after getting Francis Ngannou. But then apparently the co-creator of the UFC comes in, at least it's in his ex-bio, CEO of Combate Global, basically the Latin America UFC promotion, Campbell McLaren. I quote, "Ariel, Donn and I are in agreement that you promoted the GFL to the detriment of our businesses and to fighters' futures. Do not criticize Donn. For all Bellator fighter complaints, without him, they would all be unemployed. He attacked Scott Coker's ridiculous business model, so he's coming in hot for Donn here." Ariel Helwani comes in, "Campbell, I appreciate the fact that you are trying to incorporate your amazingly irrelevant company to this conversation. You asked me why I covered GFL. I told you, I cover the good and the bad of the fight game. My coverage is not an endorsement. In fact, I said multiple times they were DOA. What I don't cover is irrelevance. That's what you and your company are and have been for some time. I'm sorry, you feel like you don't get the credit that you don't deserve, mind you, for the birth of the UFC. I know that has to sting, but go troll someone else. The act is tired." End quote. So another casual 10-8. You know that's got to suck, to have co-creator of the UFC in your bio and MMA's top journalist to say you don't deserve that at all. So all these CEOs just got absolutely buried here by a nudely armed journalist with ease. And lastly, Ariel to rub it in, post GFL statement about postponing their shows. Ariel quote, "Any athlete may request immediate release, since PFL and Donn Davis held the Bellator fighters hostage." Anyway, that's all interesting. You can check out my numerous videos about the GFL or PFL if you haven't caught up with all the news about them. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm off anyway.